Good afternoon here. We are with Moshe Rubashkin, who is sitting Shiva for his father, Reb Aaron. And Reb Moshe, there's different social media voice notes that went around about you telling your story. So if you could please tell us for COLlive.com what happened with your father, if you could take us from the beginning.
I'm going to try to say the best as I could, and I'm going to try to stay focused as best as I could, but I'm going to jump around a little bit. My father went in just for air, nothing else, and we couldn't see him for 13 days. My brother Heshi worked with his doctor from Manhattan to get vitamin C in the IV, and we begged the hospital to let my father have vitamin C.
Which hospital is this?
Maimonides. And we see that in Lenox Hospital that they do give IV with high dosage of vitamin C. The people have a much better chance, and a lot of them, Baruch Hashem, Li and Hara, recovered. My father's case, the doctor spoke to the other doctor. It's not in the inventory. He said, we'll bring it, we'll donate it, we'll give it for the whole hospital. There was nobody to talk to for the 13 days. And
so when you call the doctors,
at the same time,
what would happen when you called?
At the same time, my mother was in the hospital, and for 2 weeks we couldn't reach her. We davened, and we learned that we spalul ba'at chaveirei, Eibishter helps you. I called up Meyazachi in Boston to see if he can move my father out of Maimonides to Cornell or Columbia or Lenox. And I asked him what's doing with his cousin Meyazachi, Abba Meir Akoyin Ben Aliza, Shamarafu Shalema. So at that time, Baruch Hashem is doing a little better. But last week, he was Rachmim Rabbi. And he says, what can I do for you? He says, Moshe, you have to turn over the world to get your father out of Maimonides. We call this one, we call that one. I'm not going to get into it. Ronnie Perlman's connections, this one's connections. Nothing worked. Everything was dead end for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We couldn't get my father moved. We couldn't get vitamin C. His doctor said it's not in the inventory, the library, what do they call the
Pharmacy?
In the pharmacy. And we turned over the world. But little did I know, other than not knowing what's going on with my mother, little did I know, so Meyazachi from Boston, Shliach, connected me 12:30 about to a doctor in Maimonides Hospital, and he told me she's going to call you in a couple of minutes. She called me, and what could I do for you? So I didn't talk to her about my father. I spoke to her about my mother. We family for 2 weeks, can't see the mother. We have no idea. She was dropped off, and we have no idea. So she said to me, I will send up a residency doctor to FaceTime your mother. So exactly within a minute or two, I get a call back from the residency doctor with my mother. My mother's hands is tied to the right, to the left. Meisha, bete marotnam in the hand. My mother looked like in the concentration camp that you see people in the cattle cars. The picture ripped me to pieces, and I says, Ma, morgen will ich der Arus nehmen. She didn't hear. She wasn't there. She didn't. Monday, the hospital called up, your mother's going home. Where do you want her? Oh, I've got Simcha Huis. She never came home. 6 o'clock we call, her air is not good. She's below 90, she can't be released. This was Tuesday night when I spoke to my mother. The if I remember correctly. I went to the oil in the morning, and Tuesday, every day, I tell about solo, you allow for try to get, your mother's coming out in 2 hours. Your mother's coming out in 2 hours. Hesh, my brother's working the phones, the nurses don't return phone calls. Never. So, and the social worker says your mother's coming home. So I go into the Rebbe in the morning, the Rebbe's Chaim Mushkin, Rebbe Tzimchana, the Chassidim, the Pine, the Bet Rachman Rabin to get my mother out immediately. And I go to my Manri's hospital and I walk up to the desk. I'm here to pick up my mother. Okay, fill out a paper. I start filling out the paper. She says they're not discharging her because the accident. At the same time, I'm there with my nephew Yitzchak Lapkovsky, and a doctor walks down the main lobby and passes us. So Yitzchak stops and says, maybe you could go FaceTime Mr. and Mrs. Rubashkin. Shamatcha's father, mother. Oh sure, I'll become a shliach. He's a doctor from Flatbush. Came there by just to visit a patient, and he's not a doctor Maimonides. And he walked upstairs to my father and he FaceTimed my father. My father's on the machines, calm. He couldn't talk to my father. So he went up to my mother. On the way up to my mother, he tells me, make sure to get your mother out of the hospital. He walks up to my mother, and we connect, my sister Gittel in Florida, and we connect to my brother Yosef Yitzchak, and we connect to Heshi in Iowa, and gets on the phone, and my mother stares into the phone and doesn't say a word to none of us. And Yossi shreit, Mom, and them deraheim, and talking to the walls. She just looked blank, like she wasn't there. And the doctor hangs up the phone, and I say, Yitzchak, I didn't see my mother in an air mask. I didn't see my mother in an air nose. I saw nothing. I called back the doctor 20 minutes, half an hour later, and I asked Dr. Lipschitz, was my mother wearing a mask? No. Was my mother wearing an air mask? No. An air nose thing? No. She was laying in bed. So I says, please get my mother out, get her released. He says, let me see what I could do. I looked at the car that he gave me downstairs, 63rd Street, 8th Avenue. I said, Yitzchak, we're going to the office. We went to his office. I said, listen to me. If you're not going to get her out, and the nurses promise every day to release her, and she's not getting out, if you don't go there personally, chas v'sholom, it's never going to happen. And this is Malach Machol. Can't make this up. He says, give me an hour. But then he says to me something very interesting. There's a thing called AMA, against medical advice. That means your mother's not a prisoner. You could go into the hospital if the doctors don't release it later, and you sign a paper that you're taking home your mother on your chayas. And they gotta give you your mother. And I heard it, gave me a mechama from one side, a stab in the wound from the other side. And he called the doctor who takes care of my mother, and he says, I'm going to get her released. She should take a pint of blood, and we should check her vitals. And if everything comes to her right, she should go home. But maybe tomorrow, because I said, no, now. I called up Yeli Laufer, my nephew, Lapkovsky, called up Yeli Laufer.
Who's Yeli Laufer?
He has a lot of old age homes. Young kid, 35, loves my father. And he says, Yitzchak, don't worry, I'll get you a private ambulance. Just tell me where and when and what time. In the meantime, this Dr. Lipschitz went up to my mother's floor and had the doctor, and he had my mother released, and he stayed with my mother because the nurses wouldn't get on the phone till 12 o'clock. And at 12 o'clock, my mother came out in a stretcher with oxygen, not to be recognized. Nothing, dehydrated, starved, rash, not changed, no socks, wet. v'chulu, v'chulu, v'chulu. It opened up my eyes to realize what's going on in there. And I read newspapers, and I read stuff. My mother came home in a stretcher. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. We had a nurse there, and she looked around. She looked at the Rebbe's picture. She went into her bed, and my sister Chayela fed her, and the nurse changed her. She looked like a rag doll. I went into my mother, I cracked a joke, she half smiled. I left, and it was a horrible night with my mother. But Baruch Hashem, from Wednesday late night, 12 o'clock, till yesterday, I could tell you it's a 25 to 30% improvement. And then, last night, I called my friend, he called me from Lakewood to Menachem over me about my father. I says, my father went in for air. He went in for air. And the fact that they don't let visitations, in ICU you can't make visitations, but in the other places you could. And I started explaining him. He said, why don't you put it on a voicemail and I'll send it to the Lakewood Askanim. And that's what I did. And it went viral, and Yossi Kalbach comes and tells me this story. That Purim, it's very hard for him to learn the Megillah, and two of his doctors told him to go immediately to the hospital, Jersey North Shore, I think the name is. And he went into the hospital, and he said, you're not leaving. You're not leaving. And he says, for 5 days I laid in bed, nobody came to look at me. Nobody came to see me. And I'm listening, he called me today 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm listening to him about for 45 minutes, and we exchanged what's going on in the hospitals, where the ER say they bring people to the hospitals in Manhattan just to die. No food, no air, they leave you in the hallways 12 hours, dying. And to make a long story short, after he finishes the story, what happened to him, he says the nurse came in the middle of the night, the last night. Hello, Rabbi. He says, yes, I'm going home today. She says, oh no, what we see in your lungs, you're not going nowhere. And the doctor walks in, a Muhammad, I don't remember the last name, if I remember the first name correctly. And he says to the Rabbi, you're going home today. He says, what do you mean? The nurse said that I can't go. And he said, no, that's why I'm the doctor. And he released him for air oxygen at home. And he said, I've been monitoring you, watching you for 5 days. I've been watching you for 5 days. And you're going home. And I asked him one question at the end of the whole story. Did you get vitamin C in your IV? He said, sure. I says, that's what they're killing people in Maimonides, by not letting them have the proper drugs. And the red tape, and all the board members, and all the presidents have blood on their hands, just like Hitler, like Stalin. And I don't understand how vitamin C is a $15, $10. A patient to be in the hospital, they charge $20,000 to the insurance company now. And lousy vitamin C. They are Reb Motel Gerari at Tzaddik, Rabbi Yisrael Friedman at Tzaddik, the Motel Chain at Tzaddik, Rabbi Shiner at Tzaddik. I don't remember all the names and all the Yisayimim and all the mothers. The hardest thing is, yes, the Eibush to get the Yarden. Yes. Oh, but to die for nothing, to die for water, to die for food, to die for air, to die for vitamin C. My father is younger than me in spirit, in mut, in love, in happiness. and all the time uplifting. He wasn't a father. He was a general. Everything that you see in this house, in my brother's house, my sister's house, it's only my father and mother. Never telling me what to do, just by example what he did, what he does. That's common in the world, and the people who have clout. That's all. We have so many volunteers to walk in. The Meir Shleimer to say the Rebbe had Tiflis. And it's a long story how the Moshe Nikolayev would come every day, to scream Maskulvina. There was the Rebbe's bris. And the Meir Shleimer saw as the Biena Nikolayev, the Moshe Nikolayev, is not on Pesach, not touching any of the food. So he got upset for a moment, and then he says, how could I get upset? How could I get upset that Moshe Nikolayev, he saved my life at Yishtim Askulpina? If only the loved ones would be. Yossi Kalbach explained me that second day he had his phone with him, but he didn't even have strength. He didn't even have strength to make a phone call. Corona takes away all your strength. It depletes you. But you could live. There's no reason to die. A loved one, a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, a Tzala member. I could have fried to come and talk. Yes, I was told in ICU you can't go in. There's so many people not in ICU. Maimonides Hospital can't let him vitamin C. It's to me equivalent to Hitler. Gassing the people. Unbelievable. 2020, you have to fight. In Israel, there's 56 people, 25 people only in ICU. That's it. Look at the reports. They're giving vitamin C. They're giving medicine. It's unbelievable. In 2020, we have to cry for medicine. We're living through World War II in our generation. And the crime of all crime, the nurses are given to prioritize. That means they don't have to ask for Dr. Miyams. They just can close the machine. They don't want to change the clothing. The parents are calling on the nurse station. They just click. Oh, the pulse stopped. And we couldn't revive him. That's all they have to say. Or they pump in more air that the lungs can't take it. There's so many different ways. By my father's Levaya, Lady Kaufman walked over to me and says, Moshe, a Chassidish Gemara walked into the hospital, the Maimonides. Shabbos, 2 hours later, is Baruch Dayan Emes in a box. I don't understand. I don't know what to say. I only pray for Meir Akayin, and at least as I'm not a full Shalema, but he's in the place Gedelis Levadi Kilim Chazde, and Batchi Yehuda Ben Rivka, Shabbat a full Shalema, but he's in the place Gedelis Levadi Kilim Chazde, my mother Rivka Bashinda, Shabbat a full Shalema, Yossi Greenbaum, I don't know his last name, Atzadik, Abal Chesed, all of them, Tzadikim. Everybody Shabbat a full Shalema. I raise neighbors to the San Mashiach. Take me out, mamish. This is not a joke. It's not a joke. 99% of the people could be home, air. Only for air they went into the hospital. If you have a problem, call Atzola. Atzola knows now. And don't go into any Brooklyn hospital. Try to go to Lenox. And if you're in Brooklyn, tell them you live in Manhattan. Take any address on the street and just give it You live in Manhattan. You live in your cousin's house. You live in your uncle's house. You live in the Chabad house. That's the right answer. Give him an address in the Chabad house in Manhattan. And don't ever go into a Brooklyn hospital now, and don't go into, if you're older, don't go into ORU. They look at your passport at your age. They look at your passport and your age. In Mount Sinai, they look at your passport and your age. You're young, you have a chance. You're older. Oh, my father's 92. He was younger than me, and I can attest. Younger, every which way, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. He'll be missed. And my mother keeps on asking, who's the tata? Ma, the tata's in the hospital. Sam, I gave her, was heißt es, me kann nicht reden, aus Russland. Please, ich will have the taten's call. For no reason he died, for no reason. All of them died. But Garari at Tzaddik, Garari, a man who looked at you, understood you, just with one look. Matul Khair, Atal Chesed. Shine, that's his mensch, a lebendiger Mensch. What is it to say? What is it to say? We can't Yisrael. We can, Dr. Rosen, continue doing your great work at Salah. Continue doing your great work. Chevra Kadisha, be gentle by the Levias. Be gentle. Be gentle. You're working hard. I know you're working all hard. You're all stressed out. But you should never know the feeling. Be gentle. When they ask, you pull up, don't ask for money. Where's the money? What kind of chutzpah is this? What kind of chutzpah is asking for money? You go on the side. Nobody's taking your money. Nobody needs your money. I'm sorry I'm saying it loud because it's a stab. After I scream, they're asking for a check in the most horrible way. Unbelievable. You're doing great work. Be gentle, be nice to the people. You're working hard, very hard, and I must say thank you, and I must apologize why I'm saying what I'm saying publicly. Because if there's other condition, don't do it this way. Go the night before and pick up the check. Go in the morning before the Levaya, pick up your checks. You're entitled to it. But don't do it in front of the front open door. I can't believe this happened. I can't believe this happened. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. The pain. Nobody should notice pain. No, dying on the Saneinu. Dying on the Saneinu. Dying on the Saneinu. Maybe she should be just like the freilige Pesach. Klal Yisrael. Wil gelat nemen, we gelat naast. De Rebbe van ons kallen werden. Dan brengen Mashiach, teken me uit mamish. Klal Yisrael, alle tzadikim. En Jezus Mechayehem. We zullen niet vergessen was de kleiste Rebbe geschrien, 60 jaar terug. I gotta tell you. My sister, Gittel, just lost her husband. And many years ago, she lost her son, Simcha, and he fell down in my mother and father's house and died on the spot with 2 kids, 28 years old. I call up my sister, Gittel. Gittel, where are you? I need to talk to you. I need to pick you up. And she says to me, I'm in the Bronx, okay? I'm picking you up. I said, my Simcha fell. He hurt himself. Where did they take him? And I say, they took him to my mom and he's Moshe, what you do? They're gonna kill him there. He was dead already, but I couldn't tell her on the phone. I took her to the hospital. The rest is history. That's all the members. Before you take a patient from Manaris, you should call in the old to give it in Daskonim, the people that don't take lip service from the president. He has blood on his hands.
Don't take lip service from any important member there. The presidents of all the hospitals, the owners, are sitting in country clubs in Florida. In Israel, they're sitting in the hospitals themselves. When a boss walks in, the nurses and doctors will work. They run away to let the patients die from hunger, no air, loneliness. You presidents, you have no right being where you are. You belong in the hospital that you own. You roll up your sleeve, you put on a mask, and the people should see that you're there with them. And they will work better. Not because they're bad people. They need mut. They need mut. They need mut. They need chayas. When an owner walks in and buys them a cup of coffee and pats them in the back, the productivity will go up 100% in saving lives. And God forbid if somebody dies, not with a forklift. Not with a forklift. Where's respect for the dead? In America 2020 to load people with forklift? Is this normal? Are you sitting in a country club? You're sitting in a country club and getting reports and then asking for donations. Who could we ask? Calm down on your private jet and be with the people. All of you. Every board member should put on a mask and be on every floor and buy the nurses lunch and supper and coffee and cake and Danish and give them $100 in their pocket, each of them standing there. They should get babysitters for their kids and pay for the babysitters, and they'll work 18 hours a day. This is a war. This is not country club. This is not country club, country club, country club. This is a war. How could you stay away? How could you stay away? How could you stay away? Stay away and don't answer phones. Some people cry out to you and you just don't answer emails. Nothing cold like I don't want to say nothing negative now. Now's the time for positive. Get on your planes, put on your overalls, roll up your sleeves, and I'm sure your wife will come along and help you and give you, don't run away from Corona. Don't run away. Corona is not dangerous. Corona is one thing, you gotta treat it right with love. And vitamin C, and vitamin D, and all the other medicines. And Governor Cuomo, you're doing a great job, but let the medicines in. And to my President Trump, God should bless you. Long life and happy life. In every which way, you've shown true leadership. In every which way, you show leadership. You don't understand the leadership that you're showing and who you are in every which way. We love you all. We love you. Your family should only know from good. And the Vice President Pence, you're doing a great job. And the Admiral there, I don't know the names. Continue doing what you're doing. Continue. God should bless you. God bless you.